Hello everyone, welcome to the channel again. I am going to tell you a few stories. Welcome to my D&D story series where I'm going to talk about the stories of an entire universe where I've had several campaigns take place. It took place over several years, and now I'm going to share the entire thing in video format. Now, usually for each campaign I'm going to go through, different episodes of telling the story so I can make it a little bit more dramatic, give you more detail. But for this one, I've tried recording it several times, and I think I've discovered that this campaign isn't as interesting as the other ones. So I'm going to go through a lot less detail for this one, as it also doesn't play as big of a role as future campaigns does in the actual ongoing plot of the universe. So here we go, a shorter video over just this entire campaign known as the Dragon Campaign. The Dragon Campaign, it starts off like any other campaign. The heroes meet in a town. Two of them meet. One of them a thief, another one a fighter. The fighter is named Aaron, and the thief is called Zenmo. They go to a bar in this town, and there they find a man come in with his child and wife stolen by some kobolds. Of course, pretty classic stuff here. The heroes decide to go to where these kobolds took this man's wife and kid, and they go stop them. They find out that the kobolds are using them for some type of ritual. They stop the ritual entirely, and then they return the kid and the wife to the husband. After that, they go through the forest and they meet the third person in this party named Beleda. Beleda's a druid shifter. I forgot to mention the thief is a halfling rogue, and the fighter is a human. The shifter owns this forest pretty much, so he attacks the other two, Aaron and Zenmo, but they convince him to stop. They find out his name is Beleda, and then they all go back to town together. At the town, they defeat some botanical mayor who is working for what it seems to be dragons. Because dragons are also the people who sent the kobolds for the ritual, and that's because, surprise, there's a big dragon war going on between dragons and the human empire. The humans have an entire empire, and this is when we get into the more weird stuff, because the human empire goes across this entire planet. That's why this universe has universal travel. You can travel across any planet with the right technology, which most people don't have access to the right technology because it's kept for government use, at least in the human empire. And they've been keeping the dragons as slaves for many, many years, and the dragons have gone tired of it, so they've declared war on the humans. And for some reason, they need all these human souls to be taken through rituals, and no one really knows why. But after finding out that the mayor's been working for them, they decide to go and tell the nearest high-ranking official, the king of this little part of the empire. I know king's kind of redundant when it's not actually the ruler, but bleh. They start heading off on the simplest route they can see on the map. And on the way there, they take a few rests, and on one of those rests, Aaron prays to a god, but not a god of this world. This god's name is Phoenix, and he has no idea where he got this name from, but he one day heard it, and now he's decided to pray to it. After a bit of traveling, they go through a forest, and they find a little mine shaft here with a lot of workers. They check it out a bit, and while they're checking it out, it gets attacked by Dragonborn. A few Dragonborn commanders come in with a few kobolds. They fight them off, but they're able to get what they were looking for, which is a crystal. They take the crystal and teleport it out of here with them. After this defeat, they conveniently meet a wizard named William. This is a very old wizard. At first they're a little bit suspicious of him, but he's able to persuade them that he's on their side. They tell him that they're going to the king, and he says that he'll take them there since he knows the king pretty well. And once they get there, they find something a bit strange, because I had a one-shot that I did in between this session and the next. It was with two characters, them being called McDaniels and Stingy, so obviously players weren't taking this very seriously. But they soon were, because they were both rogues sent by the Thieves Guild to go kill the king. And when they got to the king, they found that he was already being killed by another wizard. This wizard made a deal with the two of a magical contract to kill the heroes that were approaching the city. They agreed, and then they waited for the heroes to come. And come they did. They weren't expecting a thing when these two attacked with the wizard, but that is when they found out a little detail. McDaniels was not just a rogue, but a halfling rogue, and he was also the brother of Zenmo. Stingy was just a normal human rogue, and he didn't have any relations to everyone here, so he attacked without remorse. But McDaniels didn't want to hurt his brother. He tried to hold back as much as he could in the terms of the contract, because if he disobeyed this contract, he would die. That's how magical contracts work. They can't be dispelled, they can't be gone rid of. Once they are signed unless the conditions are met. But one of the conditions here is if the wizard died, then they would be fine. They wouldn't have to follow the contract anymore. So, with the help of William, the heroes killed the wizard, and the two were set free. McDaniels went over and hugged his brother, talking for the first time in years, while Stingy continued to attack them and, well, got himself stabbed in the neck and drowning in his own blood. And they loot the guy, they find a deck of many things, they pull a couple cards, they get some good draws, luckily for them, and they're pretty beefy now. This is when William takes control of the city and alerts the higher rankings of the Human Empire, the Council of the Human Empire actually, the highest rankers, about what's going on down here, about all the attacks. And that's when, in another part of the world, in another part of the universe I should say, Stingy is revived by the dragons and their ruler, the one who's leading the dragons right now. That being an ancient red dragon named Uthros. Uthros offers Stingy to join him in his conquest against the universe. And Stingy is incredibly greedy, so yes, of course he accepts it, for any sort of power he could gain from this. So he goes and helps Uthros kill some other humans in a desert. They're trying to get a gem from here too, and they're able to. Stingy murders every person he sees of no remorse. His eyes are just glowing red the entire time, and that's captured on some magical camera that is then sent to the capital where the heroes are. And then they also get sent another bit of footage of Stingy stealing a gem from a safe. They can't tell this is Stingy from the camera, but they do see the gem get stolen. That's when William puts together what they're doing. These gems and the collection of human souls just points to one thing: a potion. Not just any potion, a potion of immortality. This would be a potion that would heal their wounds very quickly and make it impossible for the humans to beat them. Of course they need to stop this, or else everything on this planet would be wiped apart. So while William's trying to contact the council, the heroes take Phoenix into their ranks and then go out searching for people to help them. They find some mountains nearby with some dwarves that are taking seating on the humans' planet for now. They brawl the king of these dwarves and they beat him, so that earns them respect. And after that they go to the Thieves Guild. Zenmo and McDonald's used to be part of the Thieves Guild, so they put them through a little loyalty test, but they decide to help after that. Then the party goes around the rest of this kingdom and gets help from every place they can. They then started making their way back to the capital, and when they got there, they were trying to find William when it got attacked by the dragons, by Dragonborn, by a high-ranking Dragonborn commander, by an undead version of William's brother, who throughout the course of the battle revives some of the dragons that they kill, and by Stingy. They try to fight from the walls, from the ground, they try to get civilians to safety, but nothing's looking in their favor until William shows up with somebody else. A human barbarian with scars all over his body, with blonde hair, with white glowing eyes. This person's name was Phoenix, the god that Aaron had prayed to before. That prayer made it all the way over to where Phoenix was in a completely different universe. This had never happened to him before, and that made him a bit curious, so he decided to go check it out. He traveled between the universes, and when he got to the new one, he lost most of his power. But he was noticed by the gods of this world, and they sent William to find him. And on the way, one god in particular contacted Phoenix, the god of time, who said he wasn't very happy with what Phoenix had done, but they will talk about it later. Skipping forward to now, William has brought Phoenix here, and he starts fighting the fight with everyone else. William eventually takes down his undead brother. The Dragonborn commander is able to make it away, but most of his troops were killed. All the dragons were killed, and Stingy got away with a sliver of his life left. This battle made the Human Empire realize that they had to finish this soon, so they said that in 3 days they were to go and attack the dragons. The heroes go and make sure everyone's safe and sound, and during that time, Aaron finds a little companion, a fighter who's looking up to Aaron and saw all of his fights. This little companion's name is Calum. And Beleda also finds a companion named Camilla, who is a shifter cleric, who he does hit off with right off the bat. Of course, they got these two companions from drawing cards from the deck of many things, but don't tell companions that. Anyway, William and all the others evacuate as many humans from this planet as possible, because it could get messy if they fail. And then after that, they decided to go to the Human Empire spaceship. Yes, we're in that range now. Spaceship, where they get prepared to fight the dragons. They shoot off towards the dragon's spaceship in their own little craft, but on the way there, their craft gets shot and it plummels down to a window and crashes through it. Luckily for them, this window was on the dragon ship and it was closed pretty quickly, but now they were in the midst of the dragon ranks. They fought through them, they almost died a couple times, and then they found out the Thieves Guild betrayed them for the dragons, which McDonald's and Zenmo said they would take care of later. Good luck to that Thieves Guild. After cleaving through Dragonborn after Dragonborn, they got to this big room which only had one person in it, the Dragonborn commander they saw before. They had a large fight with him and they were able to bring him down and offered him to join them, but he refused, out of his own honor. They struck him down, but then he was brought back to life by some miracle. He used this opportunity to start fighting them again, more powerful than the last time, but they were able to take him down again. And they gave him the same offer as before, saying that if he joined them, they would give a good word of the dragons to the Human Empire. And this time he accepted it, seeing their own honor, and realizing that Uthros was probably planning to use the immortality potion all for himself. He then led them through a corridor that would lead to Uthros' chamber, but they were stopped in there by Stingy. He was covered in blood and he was healing from these wounds on his arms at an accelerated rate. All around him were the bodies of the dwarves who had come to help the humans in this battle. Even the Dwarven King was at Stingy's feet. It was obvious what had happened to him. He was the first test subject of the immortality potion. The heroes were furious, but they knew they couldn't beat him in this state. So they looked around the corridor and saw a giant window on the side and broke it. It started sucking Stingy out, but it also sucked out Phoenix. Phoenix thought he had a way out of here, and he was about to use it on himself, but then he looked over at Stingy and saw a bit of himself in him. So he grabbed onto Stingy, and then used his last bit of power they had from his last world to teleport them both straight to hell. Because back in Phoenix's old world, he was the Lord of Hell. He was the God of Flame. So he brought both of them down into the third layer of hell, and here he gave Stingy an option to join them. But Stingy refused, and they began fighting. Phoenix had a giant chain which he would wrap around Stingy's foot and then drag him straight into the lava, slamming him down and then pulling him up again just to do the same thing on repeat. Whenever Stingy had a chance to escape from his grasp, he would use his dagger to slice at Phoenix from afar. You see, Stingy's dagger was covered in enchanted diamonds, which meant every time he would slice against the wind, it would carry the effects of his blade onto the target, giving him incredible range to his attacks. This fight dragged on for several minutes, it being hard to tell who was going to win it, until finally, Stingy fell to his knees. This immortality potion couldn't last him too long against this beating that Phoenix was giving him. Phoenix then gave him one last offer to join them before he would cut him in half. And Stingy accepted. Stingy didn't have much room to respect many people in his greedy heart, but this man who was able to beat him in combat in many ways Stingy would, he could respect him. That's when a demon lord started coming over to this commotion and they promptly teleported back to the ship. At this point, everyone came together. Aaron, Calum, Valeda, Camilla, Zenmo, McDonald's, Phoenix, Stingy, and the Dragonborn commander, all of them together, and walked through these doors into the chambers of Uthros. And that is something I'm going to talk about in the next video. I've already talked about a lot in this video, and that last fight seemed like a good place to end it off, and also I want to put a lot more detail into this final battle of the campaign, because it feels kind of, right. In 2017, I did make 2 videos about what I'm going to talk about in the next one, but those aren't really in context, and obviously those are kind of trash compared to these videos. If you really want to find out what's going to happen next, go there, but I'm probably going to upload this next video in the next couple of days, so you don't have to. If there are of course some other finer details, and if you would like to hear about those, say something that you'd like more details on in the comments and I'll make a video about it. But for now, this is the end of the campaign. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the rest of the series. Goodbye. McDonald's tries his best not to attack them, but he signed a magical contract. Scars all over their body, glowing white eyes. But at this point, everyone came together. Aaron, Calum, Valeda, and his girlfriend, whose name was Caleb. His name was Caleb, yes. No.